ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। A lot of quick questions we have. Let me see how much we can cover today. The first one, what I wanted to give is there are many who have this difficulty of deriving inspiration from this goal of realization. In the talk, in the class, I've been referring to realization all the time. So everyone may not have the capacity to conceive and derive inspiration. See, conception-wise, that is one thing. We all can understand. Yes, there is a thing called realization, and I have to get it. One day I have to get it. But then we don't get that inspiration to push through ourselves, to follow through that, to work on that, to oblate everything, to connect it. All that you have to do is, it is just a mental reminder to yourself that I am doing this for that. That's all. It doesn't matter what action that is. That's why we call this as oblation. You just offer it. It's like we offer modakas to Ganesha. Correct? Is there anywhere there is a rule that Krishna doesn't like modakas? Only Ganesha likes modakas. Rama doesn't like modakas. Shiva doesn't like modakas. There's no such thing. You see, it's just a particular thing is connected to particular one. That's about it. So today, anytime you think of Ganesha, you think only of what? Modakas only. You never consider offering him butter. Why you never think of offering butter to Ganesha or modakas to Hanuman? You mean to say Hanuman will not like modakas? But we just have this as a connection. That's about it. That repeated link. Today this has become normal for us. That's about it. Same way, whenever we say you have to connect your actions to realization, all that it means is before you do an action, you tell yourself, you remind yourself, I am doing it only for that purpose. That's it. And then do whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you are doing. It is just that mental connection that you establish. Many a times this connection will be difficult, particularly in anything. Initial stages will be difficult. Like a child can never understand what is the connection between me studying ABCD 1, 2, 3 to life. What is this got to do with that? Why should I study history, geography if I am going to be studying medicine? What is the connection? I wanted to study medicine. Why should I study history, geography? It's difficult for the student to establish that link initially. That initial struggle with reference to any goal we have to go through. There is no option we have. Therefore, my recommendation is, however it looks mechanical, however it looks irrational, illogical, what nonsense is this? Don't worry about all that. Just do it. Just do it. Suppose if you find that all activities do I have to do, sir, may not be possible. We may not have the capacity straight away to oblate all my activities. Right? All the things. That's what people always ask. How can I'm going to office, I'm going to earning money. Now, how can I convert this into, how can I oblate this to realization? So every day when I go to office, are you asking me, Ishwaran, I have to tell myself, I'm going to office only for realization. I'm going to office only for realization. I will say, yes, do it. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about the logic of it and all that. That's why in the beginning itself I said, religion is a mysterious process. Remember that. It's a mysterious process. It will not look logical initially. This is my answer. Suppose if you find that this is also difficult, then we compromise. But remember, you are compromising. Now I am giving you an alternative. When I am giving an alternative is not equal or it's not better. It is one step lower. Remember that. So initially, one. Next step is, suppose if you say, no, this is also not possible. This is too much you are expecting from me. Too much is to be, I'm not able to connect. You say, that's okay, doesn't matter. But at least develop an idea. Let it be your own idea. It doesn't matter. Let it be your own concept. Let it be your own vision. It is yours, full stop. There is no necessity for anyone to be approving that and all that. Remember, this is my idea. So, for every action or for quite a good number of actions, I will establish that link. Now, let's say that my mission is what? I say, forget about realization and all that. My mission is to teach Vedanta. Then what should I do? Every action that I am doing should be connected to Vedanta. Everything that I do. I go and do an excellent PR with my father-in-law. Why? Only for Vedanta work. If that PR is not going to be connecting to Vedanta work, no PR with my father-in-law. Neighbor, have a good relationship with the neighbor. For what? If that can help me to do with reference to Vedanta work, do it. If not, say no. Have some idea, some higher idea. When I say idea, what I mean is beyond me and my family. Conceive of some vision, a purpose to your life, where you start thinking of something to achieve in your life beyond me and my family. Make it as high as possible. It doesn't matter. Or make it as direct as possible for you also. That let it be let that be dependent on your vision. This is invented by you. This is your invention. It is your creation. Vision is your creation. Remember, it's not that somebody else can give you that vision. That is not possible. You have to get it by yourself. So have a vision. Vision in the sense, calculate only, ask this one question. Vision, how do you define, sir? Who are the beneficiaries of this? Who is the beneficiary? What is your connection with that beneficiaries? That's all. Me and my family, there is a connection. Why? straight away there is an attachment possibility. The moment you go beyond your family and start doing things only for that purpose, then it gives you an excellent opportunity. So wherever the vision is higher, means if the number of beneficiaries are more, it's higher. Who is the beneficiary? Ask that one question. Finally, who is going to get the benefit of this effort of mine? Okay, we achieve this. Okay, I get it. I do business, I earn more profit. Yes. Who is the beneficiary? Don't say my employees. The moment you say my employees, immediately it has become what? You better share with your employees. Otherwise, they will not be with you. They will leave you and walk out. Then you are in trouble. Therefore, you better make that profit. So, which means it will come back to square one. My bankers. I have to, no, bankers is not your beneficiary, remember. You are indebted to pay back to those people because you borrowed money from them. If you have no borrowings, then how will you treat your banker? Imagine, general manager of a bank calls you from where you have borrowed money and another bank where you have not borrowed money. Well, how do you deal with them? Same way. There's a difference, right? That is how we identify. So how do you work, sir? Work with reference to a vision, which needs to be invented by you alone. Nobody can lend it to you. But I can give a direction. What is it, sir? It has to be beyond me and my family. Beneficiary of this has to be, is not me or my family. Beyond that. Right. There are two ways of working. One is, I keep working. Whatever I get, I give. I share. That is one thing. Another thing is, I predefine what I'm going to share and start working on it. This is what my teacher who told me. I call him teacher, even though he calls me brother. As a teacher, superb idea he gave. Babuji, he gives this. He said, there are two ways of working, Ishwaran, he said. One is, you keep working, you get some money. Whatever money you get, you reduce your demands and then do some good with whatever is there with you. Another thing is, I predefine that I am going to spend that much. I'm going to spend 5 lakhs. Now, my earnings has to be how much, sir? Whatever my need plus 5. Gain that. So now what had happened, sir? Your work, your office work, your all this so-called materialistic behavior gives a spiritual touch to it. Another thing is, I keep working, I get some profit. Out of that profit, whatever is possible by me, I do. This is another way of doing it. You see, now don't call me, sir, I am a salaried person, what am I to do? Now, it doesn't make any difference whether you are salaried or you are doing business. What happens if I go under loss? I say, so what? Who cares about all that? Profit or loss is not the point. Whether you make it or you don't make it is not the point. The point is what? Throughout the year when you are working, when you are struggling to get that extra contract, struggling to earn more profit, struggling to get things, your concentration is where? I need to get that plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. plus 5 for that, plus 5 for that, plus 5 for that. This is called higher ideal. You see? So that's when you do so many things, because so many questions are connected in the same idea only. I saw. So I thought it better first answer that. Then I can go to question by question, in fact. The question we have is it okay to prioritize work on one or two dimensions of personality? Is it okay to prioritize is to work? So there are various dimensions we have seen. There are 21 dimensions. Of the 21 dimensions, the question is, I am prioritizing to work on one or two dimensions first. Is it okay? You say yes, that's okay. It doesn't matter. In fact, that's the right way to go about. Concentrate on one or two aspects. Don't take too many at a time. But at the same time, don't take one also. My recommendation is always try to keep 2 or 3. Don't keep it 2 also. I say minimum 2, 3. You always work with that 3 would be a better one. So some variety is there for your effort. Otherwise, there's no variety, because the mind demands certain varieties, in life. Otherwise, you will be concentrating. It's like doing same exercise. You see, no. You start working on 2, 3 aspects of your body, same way, for a period of time. Like that, you work here also. If that is the case, then on what basis I should prioritize? Prioritization is just a question of inspiration. Which idea looks catchy to you, strikes you well, impresses you well, inspires you, or the idea where the moment you read, you connect to it and say, check. As you are reading, as you are listening in the class, a thought would have flashed. What is it? Rajasic action. As you are discussing about Rajasic action, you get, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is how I've been behaving. I'm just taking a part as a whole and started. I form judgment so quickly about people. Why should I do that? Now, that sort of an areas you give a first priority. So either you go by what inspires you, or you go by what strikes you first. So priority can be taken based on these 2 factors. Is there a spillover effect of improvement in one area impacting other areas? Yes. But don't ask me how it works and all that. Right? It's all connected. All that has a connection. But don't ask me to give. Now, when we do personality chart part 2 sequel, if I do, I don't know when. But if we do, the sequel will be only for those who have done the chart, right? Not for others. See, so in the sequel, we can study, advanced study can be done. See, there are, as I told you, these concepts work in layers. It will reveal itself in layers. So that sort of study has to be done as a second, part 2. Personality chart part 2. When we will do that. There you can study. Otherwise, till then, you got to wait. But as of now, you have to take it from me. Yes, it does work. You start working on developing your sattvic vritti. Automatically, your sattvic action will increase. Automatically, your sattvic actor quality will come, and all that will start emerging in that. But how it will emerge, how much it will come, that spillover, that's an independent study by itself. So don't worry about that part right now, but it works. How much assessment time should one spend on a dimension? I'm presuming that the questioner is referring to preparing the chart. Right. If you are going to be preparing the chart, that's a quick question. how much assessment time should one spend on a dimension? What should we avoid doing in the process? First thing you have to do is follow the steps which I have given you, the 4 steps I have given in preparation of the charter. That is, never try to cut short or start from the 3rd onwards, or don't change the sequence also. It should be done in the same order only. You see, don't change it. How much time one should take? My recommendation is, don't take too much of time to analyze your personality. Where all I have been Sattvic actor, where all I have been Rajasic actor, where all I have been Tamasic actor. Don't spend much time on that. Spend more time to refine and redefine your idea of each concept. Sattvic knowledge, Rajasic knowledge, Tamasic knowledge. What is Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic knowledge? How does it work? Start spending more time on that part. I can't give you spend 1 day, 2 days, all that. It depends on your inspiration. Wherever you feel like connecting. Say, for example, even in the class when we were analyzing, if you would have seen, I was spending more time with reference to Sattvic intellect and the Sattvic action, then Sattvic knowledge. Hardly I was spending much time with reference to Sukham, actor. Why? Because that shows clearly what my inspiration level. That's all. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that concept has more other concepts. No. It's just a question of my inspiration. That's all. My inspiration is from this. Same way, wherever you want to work on, which aspect you want to work on first, define that in the beginning itself. There are 7 aspects are there, no? Of the 7, what is so appealing to you first? Action. All the time you are thinking what to do, what I should be doing, how I should be doing. Is this the right thing to do? Is that the wrong thing to do? Then don't spend much time with reference to knowledge. Spend more time with action. Suppose all the time you are thinking, what am I, what people are thinking about me, or what are they saying about me, are they having this, that, then you have to spend more time in Sattvic actor, Rajasic actor, Tamasic actor. So first, don't go through Sattvic action, Rajasic action, Tamasic action. First, of the 7 points, which point is striking to you first? Define that. Then go to the details. But there is no exact time frame can be given. Now, if you are expecting, give me 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days to be worked on each aspect, and all, I can't tell you. I have no idea. That you work it out with reference to your own things. But how you can go about is like this. So start by the 7 points first. Which point is so interesting to you? Which idea when you are reading, looking, yeah, nice man, this is superb. This I'm able to connect. Circle there. Spend more time with reference to that aspect. Then you reorganize it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You prioritize and start working in that same order. It could be a knowledge, action, actor, or it can be from actor, Dhriti, then action, and then this, and then knowledge, then renunciation, then Sukham. Whatever way it is coming, it doesn't matter. However it works for you, you do it. In the class, we defined the Sattvic action as obligatory action performed without looking at the fruit or based on desires. Obligatory action here was actions aimed towards renunciation. I didn't understand the question. Obligatory actions performed without looking at the fruit or based on desires. You can say yes, but I need little more clarity on the question so that I can actually cover what is being said. But as per what the statements given here, yes, you can say that. That's why in the explanation itself I said sattvic renunciation and the sattvic action will look very similar. And renunciation is 6 in 1. So all sattvic properties can be put into sattvic renunciation. All rajasic properties can be put into rajasic renunciation. So that way it can be done, but it should not be getting, boiling down into a sort of generalization. So just to avoid that, I'm saying, try to avoid this. In rajasic action, it was obligatory actions performed with ego and doership. Is the definition of obligatory action the same for rajasic person? That is, will they also focus actions towards renunciation, but it gets tainted with doership? No. Rajasic action is obligatory actions performed driven by the desires. They are calling it as obligatory action, but essentially it is desired an action. Like many of us will claim that I am doing my duty to my family. Why? As a duty you call it, but what is it actually? It is actually your attachment to your family. That's about it. Delete that my child. What will you do with the child? Many a times the misbehavior of a child gets away because of your attachment, isn't it? The child misbehaves and it passes away by saying what? You can't poo-poo with this fellow, sir. He is very intelligent. What nonsense. Or the fellow draws something, he just puts some circle here and put 2 strokes here and he puts one standing and 2 lines he puts. And this fellow calls as, what a beautiful drawing. What is beauty in that? He is admiring that as though it is such a nice painting, drawing. It's not drawing actually, but it looks to his eyes. Why? Because it is drawn by my child. My son has drawn that. No. So it looks very, this is, what is it, sir? This is called attachment. This is not obligation. Now, rajasic actions will be called by that person as obligation, but the deep root is not the goal. It is the desire, attachment. But they will pass it on as obligation. They will call it as obligations. So rajasic action will also appear as though they are performing obligations only, but it is driven by desires and attachment. What makes the tamasic actor malicious and deceptive when they have no goal or ideal they're going after? What is the motivator to be malicious to a tamasic actor? By nature, he is malicious. There is nothing triggering. Rajasic actor is not malicious by nature, by himself. Like, don't go by expression, okay? But I'm giving you an example now, right? I know a lot of people who use bad words as a matter of habit. They just say, that's it. It's not that they are meaning anything. They don't mean anything. It's not that he is angered, he is frustrated, he is disturbed as a result of which he is saying that. No, it's not a fit of anger. In the normal course of conversations, he will use those words. It's normal for them. That is called a tamasic. Why he is saying that, sir? Not because of any reason. That is called delusion. That is called a confusion. It's called ignorance. He is, by nature, he is destructive. By nature, he is malicious. By nature, he will be violent. Not because of any reason. Almost bordering into the sadistic behavior. Almost, one more step he takes, he is not a normal person. Okay, it's just a border he is. A little movement he does, if he continues that for little more period of time, he has to be treated psychologically. Psychiatric treatment to be given to that fellow. Nothing can be done. This is that category. But I don't say that all the psychiatric categories are. Don't go reverse, please. This is the danger of these examples. But please understand that within that frame, what I'm saying, if you go beyond that frame, then it will break. The frame is why he is malicious, not because of any reason. You will not be able to find internal reason or external reason. Then what is it, sir? He is habituated. It's his habit. It's just, he just feels so normal about it. That's all. He doesn't understand. That's what we are. That's it. That's what I am, he says. Now what you will do? Like that he is. Extreme. When you stretch it a bit, you can understand. And then taper it down. Stretching a bit is a sadist. That's what I am. He will be like that. And they get a pleasure out of it. Whereas a Rajasic person will get disturbed after causing the disturbance. He will also stoop down to malicious things. But after such action, he will feel guilty. Whereas this fellow will feel proud that he did it. That is called a tamasic actor. Malicious. It appears as if the knowledge element forms the foundation for the other elements in the chart. Yes. Knowledge is the foundation. Sattvic knowledge and Rajasic knowledge, Tamasic knowledge, the foundation for everything. If this is so, wouldn't the level of Sattva be the same for all elements? More or less. If you have identified that exact proportion of Sattvic knowledge, Rajasic knowledge, Tamasic knowledge in you, you will find, keep that aside, take this 6 and strike the balance of this, you will be able to make a connection. You will see it is the same proportion, more or less. But then why this distinction, different aspects are given is, it is difficult for you to identify the things with only one parameter. Because multitudes of beings are there. If your Sattvic knowledge proportion were to be more, then you will find it. Suppose if you are having a Tamasic knowledge, let's say, what will happen? Rajasic knowledge, let's say, what will happen? This rule will be very clear with reference to Sattvic knowledge. Suppose if a person were to have a Rajasic knowledge or Tamasic knowledge, he is trying to study his personality, let's say, what will happen? There will be chaos. That is why we don't connect it like that. That's why I said in the beginning, don't make the connections. Just take them as factors by itself and work it out. Sattvic person performing only obligatory actions does not seem to have choice with regard to his actions. No, the statement itself is wrong. Sattvic person performing only obligatory actions. Correct. That doesn't mean he does not have a choice. No. Why? What is the definition of obligatory action? Obligations means I take it up voluntarily. You see that? I take up voluntarily. Then how can you say there is no choice? You see that? Now, once the premises is wrong, rest of the question will not stand whole. It will not stand. I read it again. Listen carefully. Whoever is, I don't know, the questioner. Sattvic person performing only obligatory actions does not seem to have any choice with regard to his actions. No. Wrong understanding of obligations. Sattvic action. This confusion, whatever confusion he has, is because of this wrong concept. Clarify that, things will get cleared. Next question. Sense objects, if we check the quantity and in control, even then pleasure dropping? Yes. What he's saying is, I did mention in this, in the study of rajasic happiness, we say, what is it, sir? The more the contacts you have, the pleasure will drop. He's saying, suppose if I don't have many contacts, I have a regulated contact, then what? Regulatedly it will fall. That's all. That doesn't mean it will not fall. It will fall. It's like he's asking, I fill the petrol tank, instead of driving one day 200 kilometers, what if I drive every day 10 kilometers? The moment you start driving, the petrol in the car will start reducing. It doesn't matter whether you are going to be driving one day 200 kilometers or 10 days 20 kilometers. If you are driving 10 days 20 kilometers, what will be the case? Petrol tank will be having petrol for 20 days. If you are driving in one day, next day itself you have to fill the petrol tank again. That's all. So you can't, but the rule will not change. You see, the rule is what's this. A little intelligent fellow, what he will do, he will say, instead of rushing in so much, let me do it with little regulation. That regulation is what is given in the scriptures by these masters as certain disciplines in our life. Ekadashi Vratam, you have, Pradosham, you do this, this Shivaratri, you do this, that, Ammavasya, you do this, Paurnami, you do this, Vaisheka Masha, this you do, that Mata, you do that. Each month you have to do certain things allowed, certain things not allowed, all those things. And very interestingly, if you see, we always have the balance of these two things. Celebrations and ceremonies will come alternate. One big celebration and a ceremony. A big celebration, ceremony. A celebration, ceremony. Why? Just to punctuate. This punctuation will maintain it will not allow you to indiscriminately indulge. So some regulation if you have, you can maintain that pleasure for a longer duration of time. That's all. Nevertheless, every contact you make, you are losing X amount of pleasure possibility. Remember that. That will not change. If my higher goal is realizing the self, then should my profession also align with it? It can be, but it is not easy. You can align your profession to any profession. The person has given their profession. I'm into students training and rural projects. I'm not sure if I'm able to practice Sattva with this. Now it doesn't matter what you are doing. You can align that, but it is not straight away possible. Therefore, we recommend you to take up a specific one and offer. Get the training there, then perform here. It is like you do the wall practice and then go to the tennis court and play. After a period of time, how do you practice? After that, the practice is not going to be wall practice. Initial stages, when you are learning tennis only, they will tell you you should do wall practice. But without wall practice, you cannot go to the court. Not possible. They will not say start playing now. No. Go for wall practice first, where you just keep playing against the wall. After that, you can go and play tennis. After that, even your practice sessions can happen within the court itself with another player. You can continue to practice with another player. But initially, your learning has to be like that. Similarly, we say straight away for you to convert all actions into worship is not possible. Into offering, into an oblation is not possible. Therefore, what you should do first, don't worry about your activity. This is what I tell people. Take your office work as your survival activity. I am doing it for my survival. Don't try to convert that into spiritual now. Straight away, it is not possible. Take up a specific activity and start oblating with it. Create a new set of actions. Create a new set of activities, field of action, and connect that to a goal which can be directly linked to the goal. Do that and then develop it. Now, you can't say that I will do from the beginning itself. Not possible. In the initial stages, you have to go to gym and do exercise in the gym. After you have done it for a long period of time, when you have to maintain maintenance doses, all that you require right now, what you can do, sir? Instead of going to office by car, take a cycle and go. Your office going itself can be converted into exercise. But if you say that tomorrow I am going to do that, halfway through you will faint. Why? Because you are living in Kengeri, your office is in Whitefield. Now from Kengeri to Whitefield, if you are going by cycle, what will happen? It won't work. You see, you can convert it. This itself can be converted into exercise. That can be done later. But initially what you have to do, sir, specific time you allot, specific place you go, specific things you do, train your body. After that, your regular activities itself can be converted into exercise. That's all. So you don't straight away start. It is not possible as where you are. But it can be done. At what stage should we practice meditation? Definitely not in this stage. Then in what stage, we'll see later. You know, I remember in one of the Bhagavad Gita classes, Sunandaji, that's correct. That I was wondering, because usually people don't ask this question. Because everybody asks how to meditate. I was wondering how this person got to know this. Must be a person who is attending the classes. You know, is it correct? Only we keep saying don't meditate. No one in the world, no other organization talks about this. They say don't meditate. If at all you hear from one fellow, it has to be our group only. You know, nobody says. You know, the practicing meditation will go in vain. Yes, it will go in vain. You know, it will not help you because it needs a lot of preparation. Now, how do you prepare yourself? Is when you are having a tremendous mastery over your rajas and just a traces of tamas. That is a time your personality predominantly sattvic you attempt till your personality has not reached the predominance of sattva over the combined strength of rajas and tamas. When I say predominance, you can take it as 50%, 25-25. Then also it is predominance. Okay, that's not what I meant. Predominance means it your combined force of rajas and tamas should be far less to sattva in you in the context of personality chart. Then you can say that I am ready for the practice of meditation. Then comes what sort of meditation I have to do, how should I go about it, what all the things comes later. But in the personality chart analysis, this is how you work. How do we aspire to be more sattvic? Continue to fulfill our obligations as householders, parents, caregivers without being torn continuously by conflicting desires. See, you are getting torn. Fortunately, the person himself says that I'm getting torn because of my conflicting desires. This conflicting desires has got nothing to do with your obligations as parents, as caregivers, as this. All they're talking about is domestic. I think must be a lady, because man will not ask this question because he never gets torn. There's nothing for him to do at home, so there's no problem for man. Has to be a lady only. Apart from family and society, we don't live as islands as apart. I didn't say that you are living as island. You are living in the world only. But the obligations that you are talking about to your family, on what basis you are calling that as obligation? Now go back to the study we have done about defining your obligation. I gave you 3 ways of defining obligation. Your definition of obligation comes in here in the first step. What society decides based on your role as husband, as wife, as father, as mother, as sister, etc. All these very many roles that you play. The household obligations, when you say, you are referring to the idea of role-based fixation of obligation. Nothing wrong in that. It's not that you should not fix, but understand the limitations involved in that. Right? That is one way of doing it to start with. Right? It's like a child has to start living with mother's milk. What is the most conducive one? What is a must for that child is what's a mother's milk. That doesn't mean at the age of 25, the fellow says, I still want only mother's milk. It will not help him. You have to use it and outgrow. The problem is we are not using it properly. Therefore, we are never outgrowing it. See how many of us who have claiming to be doing our obligations, my household things I've been doing, had outgrown that. When I say outgrown, that doesn't mean I become indifferent. I don't care. All that happens is that. Why that is happening, sir? Because of your frustration, because of your fatigueness. Frustration and fatigueness, you give up. That's not what we are referring to. You outgrow in the sense, you do that effortlessly. I outgrow the wheelchair means what? I walk faster than the person who is in the wheel. Isn't it? If I am not able to move around, if I am not able to have that freedom, a person in the wheelchair, if they have to come from the first floor to the ground floor, what has to be done? Carry them. Or else you got to put a lift inside the house. If you have a lift inside the house, then you can come. You have outgrown wheelchair means what? I can move without the wheel. If there is a small wall, what I have to do, sir? Climb over that. I can do that. I can do this. My freedom is much more. Outgrowing means you should feel the ease of performing that and do much more than that. That is called outgrowing. How many of us have outgrown? If you have not outgrown, that means what? You did not use the wheelchair the way it is supposed to be used. You have not used the mother's milk the way you are supposed to be used. That's all. So it's not, it will come in clash with anything. It's the first stage of developing your obligation. We have already identified our weakness. How do we work towards eradicating them? When our lessons start becoming so subtle that we fail again and again, this frustration every seeker has to go through till realization. Because the problem with the subject is, as you keep coming, what will happen, sir? It will step up, step up. I can't think of a better example than this. When Sachin Tendulkar was retiring, the retirement speech, he said, at least now, he was telling, addressing his coach, at least now I want to hear him saying, well done, well played. Why, sir? His coach to Sachin Tendulkar, okay, remember that. Okay, his batting coach, not his fielding coach or bowling coach. His batting coach, he says what? Never told him in his life what? Well played. This is a must. Remember this. And this is very, very important as parents also to remember and learn. Parenting. Today, the whole world is going in the opposite direction. Anything and everything we keep praising the child. Stupid things they do. And we praise them as though, they have done like, some extraordinary work. Beautiful ideas. When to praise whom? Amazing one. The scriptures they give us. When you should praise your friend. Where you should praise your friend. She says, in his absence. You should praise your friend. Where? When? In his absence. Okay. Then the next question the fellow asks. Okay. What about wife? Newly married fellow maybe. Yes. Next question. She says, friend, you should praise him here. Immediately asks, what about wife? Superb answer she gives. That's a lady. She says, in the bedroom. You should praise her. Where? In the bedroom. What are we doing now? Publicly you are describing. Oh, beautiful. Now, when you are saying she is so beautiful, your friend will also say what? He will start describing. You see, and then this fellow get annoyed. Idiot. No, when you should praise her, where you should praise her? In the bedroom, he says. Beautiful one. Then another fellow comes and asks, Guru? There is what? Everywhere. Another fellow comes and asks, okay, what about the worker? after the job is done. When you should praise him? After he finishes his job. Till he finishes his job, don't start praising him. Halfway through you start praising him, he will say and walk out. That's all. After that, the work quality will suffer. Then the fellow asks, what about son? Final question. Never. Yes. Never you should praise him. You know, I tell you, if you have father like that, who have understood, you are very lucky. You know, and you can ask this to all those people who have lost their father. Right? Ask them. Whoever has lost their father, ask them how much appreciation they have got from their father. Nothing. You know, a good parenting is one. You don't go on praising, you know, child, good, never. Why, sir? That is where the child will start striving more and more and more, and he grows. The moment you start praising him, his striving drops. You should never do that. So what happens in the spiritual path, sir? Why Vedanta goes on subtilizing the concepts is the bars will be kept rising. We keep raising the bar, raising the bar, raising the bar. We will raise the bar so high. And your problem will be what? How will I jump there? That is why in high jump, there are two sports in terms of jumping. One is called a high jump. Another one is called a pole vault. Right. There are two different games. Pole vault is a different game. High jump is a different sport. They are two different things. See. Now, Vedanta wants you to go for pole vault, not for high jump. But it's okay. To start with, you can do that high jump a little, and do. But it will keep on raising. And suddenly what it will do, you know, one day, you know, from 4 feet to 4.5 to 4.6, 8, 5, 9, and 5 feet, it will come. Suddenly it will put it up in 12 feet height, 14 feet height. Good. Now you will say, how will I reach there? And that fellow will give you one stick and say, use this pole to jump over. The pole is the personality chart. Use that. And it will be like that. And I prefer it like that. Now, only then you got to step up the things. You know, you should step up. You should step up. That is what a teacher does. Guru always, you know, challenges you. He steps up. He goes. It should be like that. If the challenge is not, you know, increasing to you, your striving will drop. So you better control there, it says. That's working for earning living. This I think we have covered. This one. I did not get the differences between Sattvic Dhriti, Rajasic Dhriti, Tamasic Dhriti. Clarify. See, Dhriti, you understand as two things. Right? To put it in an easy manner. Your willpower plus consistency. The strength of willpower for you to say no to the temptations and not fall for the obstacles. That is called Dhriti. Right. Now we see how the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas comes into picture is in which area you are engaging that, employing it. When I say that I will not fall for the temptations coming in the way of my spiritual development, That is Satvik Dhriti. I will not fall for the temptations that is coming in the way of fulfillment of my desire. Is called Rajasic Dhriti. Tamasic Dhriti is what? Any temptation that comes, any obstacle that comes in the way of my sleeping is called Tamasic Dhriti. You see, that's how we can understand in an easy manner. And another way of doing it is, this is one angle. Another angle is this, little easier angle also could be answer to this question in you as to what is it that you are committed to. Your commitment is towards what? Answer that quick question. I am committed to fulfillment of my desire. I'm committed to the goal of realization. In the context I'm saying, okay, don't take it only as realization. At least someone should keep saying that, because today I don't hear any spiritual guru talking about realization and all that. In fact, most of the fellows are saying, don't go for realization. That is what I'm hearing, people saying. Then, but at least someone should keep saying, therefore I keep saying it. More for reminder to me than to you people. Okay. Or how much of commitment you have for realization. Committed to what? That's it. You answer the question, you can classify Satvik, Rajasic, Tamasic. Religion is tracing steps back and in the process dissolves itself in efforts. Please elaborate. It demands a lot of explanation. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll give you a reference. You can go back and you can check there. I think it should be able to give you a better idea. What it says is religion is an effort made by this mind and intellect. And what it is that it is doing, sir, in religion is it traces the steps back. And in that process, dissolves and disappears and dies. That process is so mysterious. We don't understand what happens and all that. In the last step, up to that, it will look very logical. The last step will look so confusing. So that's why it is called as a mysterious process. I was there in the goal of religion topic in Vedanta treatise. Is there. So you can, it is a statement taken from Vedanta treatise. So it's not my statement. Okay. How does ignorance create sattvic temperament? How does ignorance means ignorance of the self? Okay. Which is different from other ignorances. Ignorance of chemistry, ignorance of mathematics will not create it. It's created, it is coming from where, sir? It is coming from the ignorance of the self. Ignorance of your true nature. From there it is coming. If sattvic action is obligatory, how is it sacrificial? What is sacrifice? Service is what? Okay. Selfishness, service, sacrifice. 3 stages. Selfishness is what? I have 4 breads. I take all 4 breads. That is called selfish. I have 4 bread. I give 2 to you. I take 2. I distribute 2. I give 1 to this fellow. I give 1 to that fellow. I have 2. Or I keep 3, half to one person, half to another person, or 1 to another person, whatever it is. I share. That is service. Sacrifice is, I have 2 breads. that 2 breads I give to somebody and I go without any bread. That is called a sacrifice. Right. Now in obligation, what are you doing? Obligatory action means actions performed beyond your desires, beyond your attachments, which means you are not feeding your desires at all. You are not feeding your attachments at all. You are not feeding your ego at all. You are sacrificing that. It is very easy for us to give up that bread, right? It is far more difficult for you to give up the sense that I gave. You see that? It's much more difficult, that is. It's not easy to take that stand. That sacrificing ego is far more difficult than sacrificing the objects. Sacrificing certain objects here, certain comforts there, and all that is not a big difficulty. That is okay. Of course, comparison to selfish, this is far superior, no doubt about it. But in comparison to someone who is sacrificing the thing, that very ego itself, the sense of doership, the sense of enjoyership, sense of I am supreme, I am superior, I am inferior, I am. To give up that is almost impossible to do, and in obligations you are attempting that. Obviously it has to be what? Sacrificial attitude is needed for you. That is why before you can plunge into spiritual efforts, you should have performed a lot of dharmic efforts, we say. Ethical life. You should have a lot of ethical life in you before you can come to spiritual. You see, why is that? Practice, that is. Ethical life is a practice for you to do this. That's why. That's why obligations becomes sacrificial in nature. Initial road to follow in the spiritual journey is Rama, later Krishna. Why? Because Rama is the path. Krishna is the destination. Right? Now, path has to be treated as path only. You know, destination has to be treated as destination. Because Krishna never put in any effort. From the beginning, he has been in the same state. That's why Krishna is considered as Purnavatar, even though Rama is also there. Krishna is treated in the scriptures as Purnavatar. Why? Because he doesn't put in any. He was there in Sandipani ashram for 64 days. For what? Not to learn. All the 64 vidyas he covered in 64 days. Right. One day he goes, today is what? Today's class is painting. He becomes a Picasso. Next day, what's the class today, sir? Dance. He becomes Padma Subramaniam. Next day, music. What he becomes, sir? He becomes Madurai Mani. Another day, science. He becomes Einstein. Now, in one day, before you can even, what you can learn in one day. And that too, not this. That fellow became the peak for everything. It's not a possibility at all, actually speaking. Then what was he doing, sir? Just for the sake of satisfying the world, he just did it. Because the tradition is what? Everyone should go to, after the Upanayanam, they are supposed to go to a Gurukula and study. That's the rule. So Krishna just followed the rule. And then did what, sir? 64 days he stayed in, he did not study. He stayed there in Sandipani ashram. And Sandipani says, how can I take that? That's what he does actually. After this, education, he goes and asks the guru and says, okay, now I have to give Guru Dakshina. What should I do? Tell me. Right. And Sandipani says, hey, where did I teach you anything? In fact, you taught me, actually speaking. You came as a student and you taught me. In fact, if at all Guru Dakshina to be given is, I should be giving you instead of you giving me. Therefore, I can't ask anything from you, he says. And then he goes to Guru Mata. He goes to Sandipani's wife. She says what? I got the pleasure of what? Feeding you for 64 days. Who will get it? Because your mother who gave birth to you, Devaki, first day itself you left her and you went away. And then Yashoda was taking care of you. After that, you killed Kamsa. Immediately what happened? Next day, Upanayanam ceremony being done for Krishna. And next day, you left your mother and come here. So, you have never, Devaki also never got a chance to feed you. I fed you breakfast, lunch, dinner for this many number of days. What more is needed than this? Yeah. Amazing ladies. Krishna, that is Krishna. Now, Krishna cannot be practiced. But Rama can be practiced. You can, when we say practice, remember practice means what? What is practice? Go to music teacher. Music teacher sings. What you do? You hear all these musicians. In the initial stage, how do you identify amateur and mature musician? They will go. Instead of that and there is a lot of difference. How do you do that, sir? Only by imitating the teacher. You will go on imitating the teacher again and again and again. That is what you call as practice. So practice equals what, sir? Imitation. Now go back to Rama Krishna. Can you imitate Krishna? Impossible. No dimension of Krishna can be imitated. It's impossible to imitate him. Whereas Rama can be imitated. What is it? See, father says, yesterday morning he says, do this. I'm going to give you this. Next day he says, get out of the country. He says what? Okay, and he goes. See how obedient he is. That obedience that he has towards his father can be imitated, emulated by us. Because after all, we are all humans. Human is a imitating creature. We learn everything through imitation only. Isn't it? South Indian goes to US, comes back. 6 months later, he comes back. Hey, where are you from? America, he says. After 6 years, he comes back. You speak to him. He says, where are you from? America. Now, suddenly the whole thing changes. Why? Imitation. Everything changes, you see. Why is that? Imitation. Who you can imitate? That is called practice. Anywhere we use the word practice, within brackets you have to add one more word. What is it, sir? Imitation. Your problem will be solved. Now there is a question. There are two people asked a question with reference to Swadharma and Paradharma. We are having only one question answer session. So, the timing, will not be possible for us to maintain and close it. So we may have to stretch a little. Now the Swadharma and Paradharma. That's a definition of Swadharma is a field of action with least resistance. Correct. Why I am saying correct? Because I gave it. Okay. That's why I am saying it is correct. The definition of obligatory duty is duty is performed with least resistance. What is the connection between Swadharma and obligatory duty? Obligatory duty, when we say, what we understand is obligation is towards something. When you are thinking in terms of a goal, destination, obligation. In terms of the path, we call it as Swadharma. Goal and path. The goal is realization. Anything that I do to realization is obligation. What if I do that is possible by me? That is Swadharma. What the goal may be same for you also. You will also have the same goal of what? Realization. Okay. You're also having the goal of realization. I am also having the goal of realization. But then how you should go about realization is very different from how I should go about it, isn't it? That is where Swadharma, Paradharma comes into picture. Right. When Arjuna was asking Krishna, what should I do? Krishna was telling him what? Do your duty. Okay. When Uddhava, another friend of Krishna, was asking Krishna, what should I do? He says what? Bhakti. Karma Yoga, he is not talking there. You see, Arjuna also, Krishna says, should evolve. Uddhava also should evolve. But how Arjuna can evolve is different from how Uddhava can evolve. Isn't it? What should I do is very different from what you should do. Correct. One is correct, another one will be wrong. Say, for example, what you are doing, sir, you are doing business. Okay. Your business you perform with a spiritual touch. What is that? Correct. What I am doing, I am in the spiritual field. Okay. What if I do spiritual with the business touch? How will be that? Yeah. If you who is doing business can do that with spiritual touch, if that is correct, why can't you say me who is doing spiritual doing it with business touch? No, this cannot be done. Remember that. First one is correct. Materialistic pursuit can get a spiritual touch. But a spiritual pursuit can never get a material touch to it. That is not possible. It should not. If it is, it's ugly. Isn't it? Same way. How you have to go about achieving the goal and how I have to go about achieving the goal will be different. There is no singular, there is no one path for all of us. Each one of us have to have our own. Now that is where this Swadharma and Paradharma comes into picture. In Swadharma, what is it, sir? In Swadharma, I am functioning along with my nature. How I should go about it. The way I teach Vedanta will be different from the way another person teaching Vedanta. Correct. You'll never find two people speaking the same. But then what? Each one have their own way of explaining it. You see, each one have got their own. But essentially, all of them will be saying the same thing. The goal is the same. There, the field in which I have to choose is called Swadharma. Now I have chosen the field. Now I am doing this action of teaching Vedanta, and I have kept the goal of realization. So I have conceived the goal of realization, and I have defined how I have to go through that, sir. Only through teaching I have to reach to that path. Through knowledge I am going to reach. Another person says through devotion I am going to reach. Another person says through karma I am going to reach. Another person says I am going to reach through jnana karma. Another person says bhakti karma. Another person says karma bhakti jnana. Another person says we don't care. Each one has their own way. Now comes the third step. Step 1, fixation of the goal. Step 2, which path I have to take. Third one is to make that connection all the time. Every time I come and sit in the class, I have to remind myself in the beginning that this class is for realization. In the end, I have to conclude by saying what? I offer this class for realization purpose. This is what we do in every ritual. Every ritual, when you see, they will start with what? Every sankalpa, they will say what? Parameshwara Prityartham. They'll say in the beginning. After finishing the entire ritual, conclusion is what, sir? Last thing. Srimad Narayanam Samarpayami. The whole thing is offered to Narayana. Starting is what, sir? Parameshwara Prityartham. Conclusion is what? Everything is offered to Krishna Arpanamastu, they will say. Or else, whatever. Brahma Arpanamastu, somebody will say. Krishna Arpanamastu, somebody will say. Depending upon the words they use, that's about it. But ultimately, what is it, sir? The whole thing is oblated, offered. So that reminder is to be given in the beginning and in the end. Means during also. Understood is in the during that action also. So every time I am performing that action, I have to remind myself in the beginning, end, during. If that is not possible, at least do it in the beginning and end. Oh, that is not possible. At least do either in the beginning or in the end. Suppose you will say that is also not possible, better luck next time. That's all. Okay. So that is how the link comes. The establishment is between Swadharma and obligations is obligation includes Swadharma. Obligation is bigger thing which includes Swadharma as part of it. Where Swadharma fits in obligation, sir? In choosing the method, the path, how I am going to travel, with what I am going to travel. There Swadharma comes into picture. But obligation includes all three. What? The goal, the route, the method, the action, the plan of action, the field of action on all those things, and then actual connection, actual reminder of oblation, offering it. So when I'm doing all three together is called obligation. I'm performing my obligation, sir. Means it should have the three in that. In that, the central figure is Swadharma. So many times if you don't have that clarity on Swadharma, then there will not be having a clarity on this. Then comes the next question. Sir, how am I to know what is my Swadharma? Swadharma, take it in a very simple language as what is your sense of desires, values. Okay. High value, Swadharma. Low value, Paradharma. That's all. Noble desire, higher desire, lower desire. In every moment you have this option, higher and lower. Higher and lower. The current view of yours and a better view is there. Now, which way you are going to look? Which one you are going to do? I have the desire to earn money and keep it. Also, I have the desire to share it with people. I have both the desires. I have the desire to acquire. Also, I have the desire to share. Now, which is Swadharma for you now? You should promote what? Sharing. Start promoting the sharing dimension of Swadharma. Then it will work. There. Now, there's one more question which is not directly connected to the context, or I don't know, what is it? About introspection. I don't know in any context did I refer to it or this one. I don't know. Maybe I would have referred it in the context of intellect. There is a chance. I don't remember. But anyway, it's there. In an office environment, the block of 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., a similar block is there in the second half. Would have for many. A small activity is literally hundreds in number. How to bring it up in introspection? See, introspection means just recollecting effortlessly. Not that, oh, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? No. You ask the question, what did I do in the beginning? Then whatever comes, just go through it. That's all. You don't strive to ask this question. What did I do from 10:31 to 10:32, 10:33, 10:34, 10:35, and then in between you will ask next question. What is it, sir? Sir, from 10:30 to 10:32 seconds, 10:30, 35 seconds. You can't go to that much of details now. So first try to understand introspection. Introspection is for you to do, just you give a time for you to run through. That's all. Without any effort. The only effort you do is you allot that time for you to run through. That's it. Ideal thing is you lie down and do. Best thing is, some of them don't prefer it. I say it's okay, you can sit and do also. Because a lot of them have complained to me, Ishwaran, halfway through I go to sleep. I say, so what? Good, no. But many of them, want to conclude. I say, I don't know why you want to conclude like that. By 10:30, you come itself, you have fallen off to sleep. So what? Good, no. It's okay. Doesn't matter. But ideal is to lie down and do that. More better. Because only one reason is there. The psychological reason is you tend to get critical the moment you are sitting. You see, when you lie down, the possibility for you to become critical, analytical is less. That's all. You see, to do that is little tough. Just to take that extra advantage, we recommend. So each one has, a specific reason to be given. So all that you have to do is just go through it. Whatever comes, don't try to remember. It's not, it is not your exercise of your memory. It's not your memory exercise, please. Oh, now you got to remember what did you do. Okay, then what, then what, then what, then what, don't do. If you don't remember, forget it. It's okay. So what? Just move. Because your effort is not for that day. When I'm doing introspection today, this is not for today I'm doing it. I'm doing it for tomorrow. I'm recollecting my day's activities is not for me to know today. It is to bring that alertness for tomorrow. So you don't have to do anything here. So don't strain yourself. Introspection is not an exercise to be done with much effort, least effort. It has to be done effortlessly. The moment I say effortlessly, people take what will be the use of it and all that. No, it is very, very powerful exercise. Has a tremendous impact. Okay, but at the same time, don't think that you will get it straight away. It will take time for you to get the idea. So what you do is set apart. In introspection, what you are doing is you are just stepping up away from your own self and observing yourself. That's all. You are learning to stay out and observe. Your exercise has to focus only on that part. Don't worry about the details as of now to start with. In the beginning of introspection exercise, what you focus on is learn the art of standing apart and observing myself. I stand apart from myself and observe myself. That's it. How much ever you do, don't worry about the details. Even if the details are not coming, that's okay. It doesn't matter. But however, as you keep doing it over a period of time, the details will come to such detailing, you will be surprised. You see, that will come over a period of time. But don't try to get it. Then you will lose the whole effort and you will miss the whole point. So beware of this. With that, introspection and this. So I think I have covered all the questions which had come. Hari Om.